All right, UFC Vegas 45, headlined by Calvin Kattar and Giga Chikadze. We are back after a 4-week layoff, I think, almost since our last UFC event. The memes have been good in terms of the suffering in the waiting period.
Just a
But
quick
this is a
correction,
nice main
man.
event to come back to. What's
Just
that?
a quick correction. UFC Vegas 46.
What did I say? 45?
45, yeah.
Oh, yeah. UFC Vegas 46. Kattar coming back after getting absolutely abused by Max Holloway for 25 minutes. Giga coming back after a complete opposite. Actually, no, sorry. He fought Edson Barbosa. I was thinking about the Cub Swanson fight. But, I mean, again, Giga's coming off of a very, very dominant showing against Edson Barbosa, which I had actually picked Barbosa in that fight. I thought he was going to be the guy to put a stop to Giga's then 6-0 record entering that fight. So Giga is now 7-0 in the UFC in just under 2 years. We'll dive into that in a second. So the question I'll pose pertaining to this fight, it's kind of a newly developed one. Given that Max Holloway now is not going to be fighting Alexander Volkanovski, and they haven't formally announced a replacement. I know they're saying Korean Zombie per Ariel Helwani is apparently the front runner. But if Giga wins this fight convincingly, and I guess he leaves relatively healthy, might they turn around Giga and throw him to Max? He would have about a little less than 2 months. It'd be about 7 weeks between fights because he's that's scheduled for March 5th. Does he deserve it? And could he really be prepared for that in a relatively short amount of time? I've been kind of wrestling with this question because, I mean, 8-0 in about 2 years is very impressive, shows the activity, obviously, clearly. And again, he's not fighting complete bums. I mean, he just beat Edson Barbosa, who had been streaking pretty positively up to that fight. That was part of why I had Edson winning. And then he beat Cub Swanson before that, who we know isn't currently like in contention status, but he beat him in like 5 seconds or whatever, a minute. I think a case could be made there that you could turn him around. Maybe more so than I would say Korean Zombie, because Korean Zombie got demolished by Brian Ortega, and then he beats Ige. I understand he's top 4. But I think a case could be made there. And then regarding Yair, very impressive performance against Max, but he lost and he was gone for 2 years. I don't think that makes sense. Ortega just fought for it. And then if he beats Kattar's the next guy on that list. So I think it makes sense. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to another thing. Josh Emmett has also said, I want at it, but Josh Emmett has only won once in the last, whatever it was, 18 months or so, because he was hurt. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I've never been a fan of having fighters that are slowly working their way up just jump to title fights. It just rubs me the wrong way.
8 fights though, 8-0. That's not slow.
Right. So I was gonna go on to say that, like, considering that this isn't like this isn't a situation where he's just completely raw and being, tossed the bone. Like, so it can make sense. I don't typically like it. But I can see it happening, and like I think it would be a good fight, however it goes down. So, do I want to see it? Yeah, hell yeah, of course. Do I think it, should happen that quickly? If the situation wasn't what it is, I would say no. Because obviously, I would have loved to have seen Holloway fight Volkanovski.
Right.
But barring that, I mean, yeah, why not? You know what I mean? I feel like it's not sort of one more fight, maybe, maybe would have made me feel a little bit more comfortable with it. But
one more fight, I think for sure would seal it for Giga, but kind of like you alluded to just earlier, given the situation, I think it warrants it. Otherwise, yeah, if this was just like a standalone, Max hadn't got hurt, they hadn't decided yet who was going to fight, and they saw Giga win, and they're like, all right, it's going to be Giga, I wouldn't have agreed either. I think along with pretty much probably everyone agrees, yeah, Max was the guy that deserved that fight, but unfortunately he got hurt. So let's see what happens. So now let's kind of look at these guys leading in. So we'll start with Calvin. We have him up here. As I mentioned at the start of the video, very, very rough loss against Max. He just got absolutely ragdolled. I mean, look at that, dude. I can't believe that was a year ago. Holy crap.
Yeah,
I
man.
didn't realize.
Yeah.
Dude, I did not realize it was that long. Oh my goodness. He's almost fighting a year to the date. Is it January 6th? January 15th. He's almost fighting a year to the date. I mean, it makes sense because he looked like he like went to war after that. His face was absolutely obliterated. Um, but look, the credit I'd give to him is I don't know how he didn't go down. I really have no idea. I know
Isn't
Dana
that
was saying I wish they would have called that fight earlier. I think you could maybe have made a case for that, but he
was
just
wasn't that the fight where Max set that record or whatever, the 500 or whatever insane amount of strikes?
yeah. And that was when, like, towards the end of the fight, Max was not even looking at Cater. He was looking at the broadcast guys, dodging and throwing punches, saying, "I'm the best boxer." Look, I still, even though that was a very, very one-sided affair, I still have a lot of respect for Cater. I still think the guy can do something in this division. I'm not saying like immediately, but I think um, I'm still like he's 33, so I'm not like he's not like super young, but I think even if he doesn't ever win a championship in his division, I think he's always probably going to be a problem, barring any kind of injury or anything. So before that, he had beat Dan Ige in a fun fight. I believe that was on Fight Island, and then he had knocked out Jeremy Stevens before that, and then lost to Zabit before that. And Zabit, well, he's been a problem for a lot of people. So that's kind of what Calvin's situation was entering this fight. A year layoff, you wonder how that kind of plays into it. Could it be in his favor, given how not just physically and physical preparation, but in terms of mental preparation too? After you get a beatdown like that, is a year away, kind of something that benefits you. Because I know he was put on medical suspension, of course. I just don't remember if it was a 12-month one. I don't know if there's a 12-month one, but for sure I remember seeing it was a 6-month one at least, because Dana didn't even let him talk to anyone after the fight for a press conference. They said get him straight to the hospital.
Holy crap!
Yeah, so you wonder a year off for him. Will it serve him for the better or worse? Because you go from Max, have a year off, and now you're coming back and fighting Giga, who's been streaking and who's considered an up-and-comer. Well, he's almost arrived, really. He has arrived. He's just pretty much establishing himself at this point in terms of where is he going to be in the pecking order. So a lot of respect to him for taking a tough fight after a very tough fight. We'll kind of go over our picks.
I mean, I think he has to, right? Because the way he lost against Holloway made it seem like he needed to be tested again. Like, does that make sense? Like,
yeah, so and he's still number 5, so it's not like he's like out of the rankings or he's ranked higher than Giga. He's fighting a guy 3 below him. So there's another thing. It's a lot more risk for him, I would say, than Giga. Not that there's no pressure on Giga, because anytime you have that 0, that undefeated, well, he's undefeated in the UFC, but anytime you have that, there's added weight as each fight goes on, because you wonder, is this the guy he's going to lose to? Is this the guy he's going to lose to? But then for Cater, he's got to defend his spot, or otherwise he's going to get trapped, because that the people above him, it's not exactly it's not going to be easy to climb back. So that's for Calvin. We'll kind of discuss our picks too shortly. And now we look at Giga, which we mentioned again. If he were to win this fight, that's 8-0 in the UFC in just about 2 years or so, I believe. His first fight in the UFC was September 29th. So just over 2 years, he has participated in 8 fights. We look at who we have there. He just beat Edson. He beat Cub. He beat Jamie Simmons, Omar Morales, Erwin Rivera. I mean, and the last 3 have been finishes. And pretty good ones too, and they've all been under because the Barbosa fight was a 5-rounder, and I believe that was set at 4.5. I mean, he says he has that Giga kick, right? And his kicking is outstanding. And Calvin is more of a kind of a boxer, so I wonder how those parallels are gonna match up against each other. But again, Giga may be entering that Cub Swanson fight. Not that I was unsure about him, but I wasn't. I guess in a way I was unsure, because I was like, okay, cool, 6-0, very impressive, but not the stiffest of competition. Cub Swanson was, I think, more of a step up, even though he was kind of older at that time, and then beats him very handedly. And then Edson Barbosa, well, that's kind of what really sealed it for me. Because you can have kind of a fluffed up record. We've seen it in the UFC where you might be like 5-0, 6-0, but you're fighting people that aren't even in the UFC anymore, or aren't really relevant. So it's kind of like, all right, does this really mean anything? But that sentiment is now out of my mind regarding Giga. That Edson Barbosa fight really sealed it for me.
So for me, it's more a question of alluding to what you had said previously. What's his name? Kattar's coming off that 1 year of inactivity. Whereas look at the activity that Giga's had. It's kind of nuts, dude. He had 4 fights in 2020, 2 fights in 2021. So he slowed the pace down a little bit. So he's racking up experience, whereas Calvin's been kind of sitting on the sidelines. So that, to me, that's always a sign of, I don't know, man. Like, I think it's critical, the ring rust thing, you know, like I believe in it. So I don't know how that's going to play out for him. I mean, like you said, look at his experience for the 2021 fights, both knockouts.
Yeah.
So
and
really,
respected guys.
Come again?
Respected guys too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, not chumps at all. So really, I guess the main question for me is, how long do you think this fight's going to go? Do you think it'll make it to decision? Do you think Giga will kick Kattar out of the ring? Like, what do you think is going to happen in terms of the length of the fight? Because I'd
be surprised. I'd be surprised if all 5 rounds are used, because both guys have. So if we look at Giga, so he's 14-2. Of the 14 wins, 10 are by finish, 8 by KO, TKO. And then on Calvin's side, it's a little more 50-50. Calvin has power, but it goes the distance. Calvin, 22 wins, about half of those are finishes, 13, 11 by KO, TKO, and 2 by sub. So I'd still kind of be surprised, honestly, if it goes the distance. I don't know if they've set the rounds yet, because we're still about a week out. Sometimes we were having trouble finding the rounds for the last part we were previewing. I was going to say maybe it gets set at 4.5. So I guess we can transition onto like the line situation here. It's currently, per ESPN, Calvin is plus 200 and Giga's minus 240. For rounds, my instinct says 4.5, because it seems like between 3.5 and 4.5. 3.5 seems too low. 4.5, you could say maybe is a little high, but I think 4.5 makes a little more sense than 3.5. I think just given that Calvin kind of goes the distance half the time, even though the lines there are clearly indicating they think Giga's going to win. I don't think they put it at 2.5. I think that would be crazy.
No, for sure.
I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they'll do 4.5?
4.5
Well, do you think it goes the distance? And then, but besides that, where do you think that the line will get sat at?
I think this will go the distance.
Really?
Yeah, and think about it. The Kattar fight went the distance against Max Holloway. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, if I was a Vegas man, I would set it at 4.5, with the over being a slight favorite, because it could. Slight, because it could go either way, and that's more on the Giga kick abilities than on, yeah. Because so that's what I'm saying. That's why if I were to set it, it would be on the over, slight favorite, because of Giga's potential.
Actually, sorry to interrupt you. I just actually found some lines on the site that we're aware of. It is set at 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
And the favorite is the over?
Yep. A pretty decent favorite. So it's set at 2.5 for this fight. Minus 170. The over is minus 170. The under is plus 145. I think that's a pretty good bet to take.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's like free money right there, dude.
It's a pretty good bet to take. And then I mean, we say that, but
come on, 2.5 is insane. Like,
this is all. If you leave it right here, look at it's because of this. Look at the last 3 fights for Giga. That's why they're all under 2.5.
Yeah, I get that, but
they're all under 2.5. Yeah,
I get that, but they're acting like they didn't see Kattar sit there for 5 rounds and take a freaking beating.
I think that's fair to say. I don't necessarily disagree, because again, if we looking at Kattar, decision loss against Holloway, decision victory over Ige. And then he knocked out Jeremy pretty quick, and then he went decision against Zabit. So 3 of the last 4 are going into.
Well, it's not just that. You can simplify that by saying he doesn't get knocked out.
He's never been knocked out. Yeah, that's a good point. And he's only been finished once. Yeah, that's a much easier way to put it. Between these 2 guys, there's been 2 finishes. One guy has been finished. Both guys have been finished only 1 time.
Yeah, so 2.5. Yeah, if you guys get that on your sites or whatever, man, take it. That's insane. Like I would not have assumed that. Even because we were just saying 3.5 would be weird.
Yeah, that
Like,
was. I think I said 2.5 would be crazy. Did I say that? I don't remember, but
three and a
I
half.
don't know, man.
Or
Look,
2.5. Yeah, 2.5. Man, well, because it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not like they're heavyweights where you could be like, oh, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, if
well, I think it's very disrespectful for Cater.
yeah,
You're completely
absolutely,
disrespecting and
absolutely,
discounting him.
yeah, absolutely.
Because there's often times where you can read the money line and it kind of correlates, leads you into the over under. You see that plenty of times. This honestly isn't one of those times though, because look, Giga, like we said, is almost a 2.5 to 1 favorite. But how do you weigh his last 3 finishes that heavily and then completely discount Cater's last 3-4 fights?
Or just the,
if
the
it was
stat.
well, what I'm trying to get to him that is like I don't think it's that heavy enough of a favorite in towards Giga for you to overweigh his last 3. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I'm articulating that well.
No, you are.
Like if we had Giga at like minus 400, I can kind of get behind that. I can make more sense of the 2.5 because I'm like, well, yeah, because they're so heavily thinking that Giga is going to win. They're weighing those last 3 fights so much. 2.5 to 1, it's a sizable favorite. I'm not saying it isn't, but to completely tilt the scale on the rounds there doesn't fully make sense to me because it doesn't correlate to me with the money line.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I was gonna say that I felt like this line was a little bit too wide to begin with. Like again, I feel like Cater's being a little bit disrespected here. Not a little bit, he is being disrespected. So a little bit closer would have been,
where would you peg that at? Where will be more palatable for you?
Maybe
should Giga be the favorite number 1?
Huh?
In your opinion, and then where should it be settled around?
Giga for sure should have been the favorite. I don't know if he should have been 240, maybe at 200, right about. Because I do see him as winning the fight. I do see him not dominating, but I do see him. Man, I forgot the word for what I'm trying to describe, but making it clear, controlling. Yeah. No, I don't want to say dominate the way like Max Holloway dominated in that fight, but I definitely think Giga will clearly show that he's the one that's leading the dance, so to speak. So yeah, maybe like 200-ish, drop Kattar down at like 160-ish, somewhere around there. I would have felt better about it because yeah, especially as a betting man at this point, I would have to, whether I want to or not, I'd have to throw Giga into a parlay. I wouldn't take that straight because you never know, especially against Kattar. The guy doesn't go down. He might catch you with just one of those surprise swings, dude. It happens all the time. Yeah.
For me on this, I would stay away from the money line. I'm absolutely just hammering that over.
Oh yeah.
That's the play.
No-brainer.
That's the play on this one. Because I'm sure there's probably the sentiment, like you said, you have Giga. When I first saw the matchup, as in like whatever it was 2-3 months ago when they announced it, no lines, nothing. I hadn't seen anything. I was thinking Kattar. I figured Kattar would take him. I also said that about Barbosa being the first guy to defeat Giga, but I had taken Kattar, and then our buddy, when that fight got announced, texted me. He's like, "That's another rough one for Kattar. He's going to get demolished again." I was like, "What do you mean he's going to get demolished again?" He's like, "Oh, I got Giga all the way." I'm like, "Really?" Not really. As in, I'm surprised that you're taking Giga, but I was surprised by the sentiment of he's going to just run over Kattar. I'm still sticking with Kattar. I'm actually going to pick Kattar in this one.
Kattar.
I wouldn't throw him in my money. I wouldn't throw him in a parlay. Like I'm not that confident, but regardless of who wins, I really have a hard time seeing it go over that 2.5. So my play here is over. I don't touch the money line on either guy, even if I thought Giga was going to win. I don't like the value at minus 240. I think Kattar is going to win, but I'm not that confident where I would throw him in at plus 200 and potentially mess up another parlay. Maybe you could throw like $30 at it, get $60, get $30 back. But that's kind of what I'm looking at here. That's my play. That's my pick.
Yeah, I'm Giga on the over on this one. I'm still stuck on that line. It's so ridiculous.
I was caught off because I thought we weren't going to find the lines, and the fact that that's what it was kind of rattled me.
And look, to your point, man, you never know, dude. Maybe Kattar called up Max after that fight and asked him for his Zoom training instructors. So it's quite possible that this This translates into a win for Kattar.
This is possible. I don't know, man. I mean, Calvin obviously wants to get back that loss he had in terms of get back in the win column. And then his buddy Rob Font, where they trained together, he also lost. So they want to get that New England cartel back on track. We'll see what they do. A nice main event to lead off 2022. There's already some nice, we got January later. We got Francis and Gane, followed by Moreno and Figueiredo on that card. And then in February, we got Izzy and Whitaker. And then in March, we have Volk versus someone, maybe Giga if he wins, and Jan versus Sterling. Like it's so hard to remember that guy. He's so forgettable. So that's kind of what we have looking forward to coming up the next few months. So to lead off with this as the main event, I'm pretty happy about. So I don't know, we'll see. So again, the question in the beginning was kind of where you guys think if Giga does win, do they throw him at Volkanovski to fill in that gap that Max has left, given that he's gotten hurt? Let us know. Any parting thoughts from you? Aladdin. Okay. Thanks, guys. Let us know your take on that. Who wins? What do you guys feel about the rest of the event too?